Hello and welcome back to the Movie Memo Recaps. Today we are going to recap a 2007 movie titled Vacancy. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead. The film begins with a married couple, David Fox and Amy Fox, driving down a dark, desolate road at night, returning home from a family gathering. Suddenly, David swerves the car to avoid a raccoon, jolting Amy awake. As they continue their journey, Amy quickly realizes they are on the wrong road. David explains that they had to divert from the interstate due to roadblocks caused by a car accident. From the outset, it's clear that their marriage is strained. Both seem irritated by each other's presence and engage in constant bickering. During their exchange, Amy pulls out an apple and begins slicing it with a knife but accidentally cuts herself, leaving a small bloodstain on the fruit. They brush off the incident, but soon David comments on a strange noise coming from the engine, likely a result of his sudden maneuver. With no options left, they can only hope the car holds up. Just as the engine begins to falter, they stumble upon a rundown gas station. Here, their argument escalates over their location on a hand-drawn map until they're startled by the gas station attendant appearing at their window. David explains their predicament and mentions they're headed to Downey. To their dismay, the attendant informs them they've been traveling in the wrong direction for about 30 miles. He offers to look at their engine, and while the two men inspect it, Amy takes out a photo of a young boy and breaks down in tears, revealing that their marital discord stems from the profound grief over their child's death. After the attendant repairs the engine, David attempts to offer him money for his help, but the man declines. Instead, he provides directions to their destination and gifts Amy a lit sparkler before sending them on their way. They resume their journey, but it isn't long before the car breaks down completely, forcing them to pull over in an isolated area. Amy realizes that their phone will soon lose signal. With no other options, they grab a flashlight and begin walking back to the gas station, which is about a mile away. As they walk, tension rises again when David mentions their late son's name, causing Amy distress as she struggles with the memories. Upon reaching the gas station, they find it deserted and decide to seek refuge at the motel next door. Upon arrival, they are immediately unsettled by the sound of a woman screaming in agony from a back room. Although frightened, David rings the desk bell. The motel manager casually emerges and dismisses their concerns about the screaming, claiming he was simply watching a movie. When asked about finding a mechanic, he informs them that no auto shops are open at this hour and suggests they spend the night at the motel. While Amy grows increasingly suspicious of the manager's demeanor, David decides to stay there nonetheless. The manager tantalizingly offers them the honeymoon suite at the standard room rate, a gesture that feels both generous and unsettling. After the couple departs for their room, the manager retreats to the back, and once again, the chilling sound of a woman's agonizing scream pierces the air. Meanwhile, the couple enters their assigned room, only to be greeted by an unsettling sight, a dusty, grimy space with a cockroach scuttling across the floor and murky water oozing from the sink. Despite the dismal conditions, they attempt to settle in for the night, engaging in a heartfelt conversation about their crumbling marriage, which they have kept hidden from their families. Suddenly, their moment of vulnerability is shattered by a strange phone call that connects them to silence.
Hello?
Moments later, loud banging erupts at their door, but when David opens it, he finds no one there. The phone rings again, and almost simultaneously, a series of loud knocks come from the connecting door to the adjacent room. Confused and alarmed, David bangs back on the door, demanding to know what the unseen assailant wants. This commotion frightens Amy, prompting her to shut the door firmly. Yet, the relentless banging on the front door resumes, infuriating David as he rushes to investigate the source of the disturbance. He instructs Amy to lock the door and hastens to confront the manager at the front desk. Upon voicing his concerns, the manager reveals that they are the only guests in the motel that night. He grabs one of the guns displayed on the wall, assuring David he will investigate because, according to him, college kids sometimes sneak into rooms for raucous parties. When David returns to their room, Amy expresses her discomfort and suggests they return to the car for safety. However, David dismisses her fears, too exhausted to consider leaving. He turns on the TV and plays a VHS tape resting atop it, initially believing it to be just another film. As he watches, he is confronted with a disturbing montage of violence and torture occurring in an unknown room. Gradually, David begins to notice that the curtains and carpet in the footage bear an uncanny resemblance to those in their own room. Amy soon realizes this horrifying truth as well: the footage was recorded in their very space. In a state of panic, David begins searching every corner of the room and uncovers several hidden cameras, including one cleverly concealed within a vent. Just when they think things can't get worse, the lights flicker ominously before plunging them into darkness, accompanied by relentless banging on the doors. As they press against the wall in fear, a masked figure briefly materializes behind them. When the lights flicker back on, they attempt to escape through the bathroom window, only to find it securely nailed shut. To their horror, they discover Amy's bloody apple sitting ominously on the sink, an item she swears she left in the car. Growing increasingly suspicious, David tears down the shower curtain but finds no one hiding inside. Desperate for an escape plan, they decide to make a dash across the parking lot and into the woods. However, their hopes are dashed when two masked figures emerge from the shadows, blocking their path and forcing them to retreat back into their motel room. As these figures pound on the door, Amy frantically works to remove the nails from the bathroom window. Suddenly, one of the masked assailants appears before them. In a moment of quick thinking, David fabricates a story about having a gun, which seems to buy them some time. With this temporary reprieve, he shares his next plan with Amy. He will make a run for the lone payphone situated outside the motel while she distracts their pursuers to create an opportunity for escape. As Amy feigns an attempt to pry open the window for an escape, David stealthily makes his way to the payphone, managing to call 911. However, his heart sinks when he realizes he's speaking not with emergency services but with the motel manager. Just then, a car comes roaring toward him, forcing David to retreat back into the motel room. Faced with no other options, the couple resorts to breaking the sink mirror to arm themselves. Unbeknownst to them, the motel manager observes their every move through a hidden security camera installed in their room, revealing his sinister role in this unfolding nightmare. A while later, Amy stirs awake and chastises David for allowing her to doze off. He urges her to remain quiet, fully aware that they are being monitored through the concealed cameras. He wants their captors to believe they are not plotting an escape. Meanwhile, David has been engrossed in the chilling VHS tapes, hoping to glean insights about their attackers. He suspects that the haunting scream they heard earlier at the reception is captured in one of these tapes. His observations lead him to conclude that their tormentors derive a twisted pleasure from simply watching their victims until boredom drives them to intervene. Alarmingly, it appears that the assailants always enter through the bathroom, prompting David to search for a hidden passageway. His efforts lead him to discover a secret hatch in the floor. Just then, Amy announces that a truck has arrived outside. Seizing the opportunity, they begin banging on the window to capture the trucker's attention. However, they soon realize that the trucker is complicit in this horrific scheme, having come to collect a box of torture tapes from the manager. As masked figures approach their door, David and Amy quickly retreat to the bathroom and leap down into the secret hatch. They find themselves in a dark underground tunnel and begin crawling through it. Along the way, they encounter a massive colony of rats but press on, knowing they have no choice. At the tunnel's end, they discover another hatch leading into a surveillance room filled with monitors displaying various torture tapes. A door at the far end leads back to the front desk. Before exiting, they scan the room for anything that might aid their escape, and Amy quickly dials 911 on a real telephone this time. However, before she can provide any details, the manager and a masked goon burst in, fury etched on the manager's face upon discovering that his next victims have eluded him. They realize that the phone call is still active with 911 on the line, and knowing there's only one place left for the couple to hide, the secret tunnel, the manager dispatches his goon to retrieve them. He instructs another goon to enter the tunnel as well, but David and Amy cleverly evade both pursuers and find another exit leading into an auto shop at a nearby gas station. They hastily drop an entire shelf atop the hatch to block any pursuit. In this moment of relative safety, Amy suddenly breaks down in tears, overwhelmed by guilt over their child's death. David comforts her, assuring her that it was never her fault, it was merely an accident. After enduring such an unimaginable night together, he realizes he cannot bear the thought of losing her and wants to start anew once they emerge from this ordeal. Their moment is abruptly interrupted by a police car arriving at the scene, but fear keeps them from revealing their presence just yet. They watch in tense silence as the manager steps outside to greet the sheriff, who has arrived in response to a 911 call. Maintaining his facade, the manager allows the sheriff to inspect the premises and even invites him into the motel room where David and Amy had been staying. Meanwhile, inside the auto shop, their hiding place is compromised when one of the masked men suddenly attempts to lift the shelf blocking the hatch. The couple instinctively works together to hold it down, desperate to prevent him from breaking through. As the sheriff continues his search, he he notices a flickering light emanating from behind a door. Upon investigating, he uncovers the horrifying torture tapes and realizes that something is deeply amiss at this motel. Gripped by horror, he steps out of the room, his gun drawn. Sensing that their chance for escape is slipping away, David and Amy seize the moment to call for help and make a break for it. However, their hopes are dashed when the engine fails to start and they discover that the walkie-talkie has been sabotaged. In a moment of desperation, the sheriff steps outside to check under the hood of his car, only to be ambushed from behind by one of the masked men, who fatally stabs him. Panic surges through David and Amy as they retreat back into the motel room. They quickly devise a plan to escape through connecting doors, but when David breaks a window, he realizes he cannot fit through it. With the assailants preoccupied with concealing the police car, David hatches another idea. He tears a piece of Amy's clothing and places it on the window ledge to create the illusion that they've fled that way, while she hides in the ceiling. As he prepares to sneak into the lobby to grab a displayed gun, David shares a heartfelt moment with Amy, telling her he loves her before stepping out of the room. But just as he does, one of the masked men lunges at him, stabbing him in the gut. Amy fights to suppress her cries as she watches in horror. With what little strength he has left, David crawls outside, only to find the manager filming him with a sinister grin. The manager enters the motel room in search of Amy but narrowly misses her as she remains hidden in the ceiling. As dawn breaks, Amy decides it's time to find David. However, when she finally emerges from her hiding place, she is confronted by one of the masked men who is poised to attack. Fueled by adrenaline and fear, she bolts away with all her might, determined to survive. She climbs into a car and turns the key in the ignition. Suddenly, an assailant bursts through the sunroof, forcing her into a panic. In a desperate bid for survival, she swerves and collides with a motel room, miraculously protected by the airbag. Both masked attackers lie lifeless, one of them shockingly being the very man who had once offered them assistance. Yet, Amy's ordeal is far from over. The hotel manager is now in pursuit. As she flees, she hears his anguished cries upon discovering his friend's grim fate. Seeking refuge, Amy retreats to the surveillance room, barricading the hatch with a shelf and arming herself with a hammer before bravely stepping back into the lobby. There, she spots a gun and reaches for it, but the manager stealthily approaches from behind, choking her into submission. A fierce struggle ensues on the floor, with him gaining the upper hand and pummeling her down. In a chilling moment, he drags her towards the couch, filming her while ranting about how he should have killed her the night before. But Amy refuses to be defeated. With a swift kick to his groin, she turns the tables. They grapple once more until she finally manages to grasp the gun nearby, firing multiple shots that bring him crashing to the ground. Breathless and shaken, she rushes to check on her husband, relief washing over her as she finds him still alive. In a moment of desperation, she dials 911 again, pleading for immediate help. The film concludes with Amy sitting beside her injured husband, overwhelmed with gratitude for their survival and resolutely deciding to abandon their divorce plans. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.